Yes, Kate, it is time. Time for lots of stuff to go down in this episode. Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to my channel where I like to talk about all the geeky pop culture that I like and consume. Things like Doctor Who, things like Red Dwarf, things like the MCU. And we are at the finale of Hawkeye, the last episode. No announcement of a season 2 of this show, unlike Loki. So, will we get another season? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe we'll get a Young Avengers movie instead, and that's where we'll next see Kate. Who knows? But this is definitely the last episode of this season of Hawkeye, and what a ride it was. There will be spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode, go to Disney Plus, watch that now, and then come back and see me afterwards. After last week's cliffhanger and that tease, that photo tease, we got some solid, absolutely solid Kingpin appearances in here. Vincent D'Onofrio being just as good as he was in Daredevil, just as menacing, just as smart. Everything about the character that I liked from Daredevil seemed to be ported over here. He is playing the same iteration of the character as far as I'm concerned, and it worked really well. The first scene is him and having a meeting with Kate's mum, and basically her trying to quit, and he's not pleased with that. He doesn't want, he doesn't let people leave this dodgy business they're in, making him money. So he's not happy about that, and he warns her not to. But she's determined. She's, my daughter's back now. I want to get out of this life. We've repaid you for what my dead husband owed you, blah, blah, blah. But we also get we find out this is the clip that Kate is seeing on her phone. And so we find out the truth of everything. All that we had suspected all along, that it was Kate's mum that had killed Jack's uncle, that Jack was innocent, that she had framed him, all of that stuff. Absolutely 100% confirmed here. But that isn't the scene. I mean, I was so worried that we were only going to get like maybe one scene with Kingpin in it. But actually, he features quite a lot in this episode. We get this scene here. We get a confrontation with, I say confrontation, we get a meeting with him and Mia, where she's trying to play along like she's still on board with his team. She doesn't know anything about the fact that he ordered the hit on her father, or orchestrated the hit on her father. And therefore she is kind of like trying to play along, and he's in the scene very much like, oh yeah, your family, I love you, blah blah blah. But then as soon as she's out the room, he turns to the other guy, previously Mia's number 2 in the tracksuit mafia, and is like, she's not on our side anymore. And he knows. This is the smartness of Kingpin that has carried over from that Daredevil series. He's not just strong. He's not just a menacing presence. He's also very smart, and he worked that out. It was a great scene. Just all of these scenes with him in have such great presence. I'm so glad that he's in this series, and I hope he's in more. We'll talk about his ending in a minute. But I really hope he gets to be in some more series. Or movies. Get him in a movie. Come on, we need to see him in a movie. Also, this episode, we got some really nice stuff firmly cementing the relationship between Clint and Kate. That kind of partner relationship. At this one point, he reaffirms that, no, I'm standing by you because you're my partner. They are now, a team. They're friends. They are what... they've grown so much from her being the annoying kid that you just had to save to now they are family, and I really like that. Kate has a line that while they were bonding, that I thought was really nice, which was that you showed me that being a hero isn't just for people that can fly and shoot lasers out of their hands, which was just a lovely moment between the two of them. Shows how far they've come, really speaks to the message of the show as well. I think that the show is very ground level. It's probably the most, apart from like the Netflix side of the MCU with the Daredevil and the Jessica Jones and all that, in terms of the Marvel Studios produced stuff, it's the most sort of street level we've got, because even things like Spider-Man, which is usually street level, due to the Tony Stark involvement, got a bit bigger than that. But this has kept very much street level, and probably has been the most street level stuff we've had since the Netflix side of the MCU. So we do get these nice little moments between characters, and we get more throughout going on, but there is also a lot of action in this episode. It balances the character moments and the action really well, I think. The action mostly takes place around this function that they go to, that her mum has organised, charity function, And so it just basically culminates there. Every plot thread kind of culminates at this event at one thing or another, because they obviously know, Clint and Kate now know, that Kingpin is going to try and murder her mum. So they go to the event to try and save her, but also confront her about what she's been involved in. So they go there. You've got the other Mia's, I'm not sure, cousin, brother, whatever he is to her, second in command, on top of a roof, basically there to take out Kate's mum, but ends up, once he spots Clint, firing on Clint through there with the sniper rifle. You've got Yelena turns up as well, and there are, again, some brilliant scenes. Just Yelena and Kate together, it's magic. It's absolute magic. They're just so funny together, the way they interact with each other. Particularly that scene in the lift where, you know, Yelena has outright said, yeah, I'm here to kill Clint, and then I'm going to have some hors d'oeuvres, and then I'm going to go. And so Kate is trying to stop her, but she's so outmatched fighting-wise that she's just... they're just kind of bantering between each other. Yelena doesn't really want to hurt Kate, but she will, you know, stop her stopping her, if that makes sense. And they're in the lift, and going to the floor that Clint is on, and Kate is trying to press all the buttons. Yelena's just, like, constantly stopping her, like, twisting her around. Like, it's her... with all this banter in between, it's just an hilarious scene. And then even once they're out of the lift, there's... the banter continues. They're, like, complimenting each other's fighting. You know, saying, hey, why don't we just go for drinks? Their interactions are just so funny. And I would love to see more of these two together in the future. Maybe in a... Yelena's probably a bit old for a Young Avengers team, but maybe she could join a Young Avengers team, or maybe they could just both join the regular Avengers. I don't know, but let's get them together some more, I think, because they are really funny. The action is really good and varied. It keeps changing up. We get different locations, different styles, and eventually there's the moment with the Christmas tree, because Clint tries to use the same grappling line that Yelena and Kate used to get down from the top of the building, but unfortunately it snaps when he goes on it, and he sort of swings and falls, and then into the massive Christmas tree that's by the building, by the ice rink, and he's kind of stuck up the top of that for a little while until Kate basically timbers the tree and sends it going down with him on one side, and they all end up on the ice rink with the tracksuit mafia converging on them. They've gotten the all of the LARPing lot involved as well. They were undercover in the event as the staff, and they're like, they don their when it really goes crazy with the tracksuit mafia, they go and change into their LARPing gear to to help them shepherd the people out, and also occasionally take on some of the tracksuit mafia. Very brave. I mean, I suppose they are police and firefighters and stuff, so I guess they're semi used to those kind of environments. But yeah, that was amusing. But then once the action scene on the ice rink is absolutely superb. The trick arrows come out. We get a lovely moment where, like, it's a moment of, like, graduation for Kate, because Clint hands her the trick arrows and she said, is it time? Yes, it's time. And there's just such a variety of trick arrows that they've been making. Electrocuting ones, magnetizing ones, gas ones, one that just creates a big massive ball that bounces people everywhere out of the way. What else is there's just so many. There's ice ones that freeze people, and then of course there's the pin particle. They got another pin particle one which they use to shrink a van which is literally about to crash into them, is driven off the edge and is about to crash into them, and Kate fires that and shrinks them, and you can hear all these little voices, little tiny voices coming out. Which, you know, I'm pretty sure in Ant-Man they established that you needed the suit to survive as a human that small, but I don't know, maybe they've improved the pin particles so much that now you don't. I don't know. Either way, it was funny, so I'm going to let it slide. We also get the new costume reveals. We already had Kate's, but Clint is there initially in his tuxedo, but eventually the tuxedo comes off I did at one point say, come on, man, take your shirt off, but I did not mean it in that way. I meant it in the reveal your costume way. Take your shirt off and reveal your costume. We can see it under there. And yeah, he's got the new costume on with the arrow, sort of down arrow bit that has been designed for him by the LARPers. He's now fully branded up, ready to merchandise, as Kate would probably say. And that was just a really good fight sequence, really good action. And then we start to get into more of the one-on-one fights again. We get a series of them all going on at the same time. So we get Clint versus Yelena. Yelena? I've forgotten what her name is. Whichever one. We get Clint versus her, and and she wants to know what happened with her sister, and doesn't believe him when he tells her that she sacrificed herself. She's still got it in her head that it's Clint's fault that she died, that Black Widow Natasha died. And so there's that going on. You've then got Echo versus her brother. I'm calling him her brother. I know he's not actually her brother, but her surrogate brother, her second in command, who has been ordered to kill her by Kingpin, because they know that she's not on side anymore. So he doesn't want to kill her. She doesn't want to kill him either. She offers him a chance to still come away with her and to leave that life behind, but he's not having. He's like, no, this is my life, and you think he'll let us leave? He won't let us leave. He'll chase us down. He'll track us down and he'll kill us. So he's firmly embedded in that and he has to kill her. But of course, Echo ends up killing him instead. So there was some nice character stuff going on there, which will, I'm sure, carry over into her own spin-off series, which she's getting. Then there was Kate versus Kingpin. Again, we get another great scene with Kingpin here, because he's gone to confront her mum, and don't know whether or not he's just outright going to kill her, or just like, I'm going to kill you if you don't come back into the fold here. But Kate intervenes, and there's a really cool fight where mostly Kate gets her ass kicked, because Kingpin just takes arrows to the chest, takes punches, he can take anything. He's a big, strong man, and clearly has something extra going on about him. But in the end, she manages to explode an exploding arrow right by him, and he's kind of left on the floor, and that's how she then gets out. So those kind of three fights are going on simultaneously, and we're cutting between them, getting all the personal stuff. The Clint and Yelena stuff ends up with a really nice sort of coming together moment where they realise that they both love the sister. They kind of bond over it a bit, and it comes about from Clint saying that, like, giving a secret whistle that the sisters had between each other, and she's like, how do you know that? And he goes into, retelling, he says, she told me all about you. She told me about the plane, and how she flew the plane as you were escaping, how you got separated, and how she never stopped thinking about you, etc., etc. Basically the opening of Black Widow. And that kind of makes her stop and reconsider what she's doing. And that's a lovely, touching moment too. Oh, I forgot to mention Jack. Jack, who was framed by Kate's mum, had been released by police. He was at the party, and he joins in with the good guys fighting the tracksuit mafia. I'm pleased about that. I'm glad Jack is joining in with the good guys. And in the end, the LARPers invite him to join in their LARPing gang as well, because he's so good with a sword. So that's nice, because at some point, I believe in the comics, I've not read any of these, but I believe from seeing other people say that he is an on and off again member of the Avengers. Sometimes he's a bit of an antagonist, but sometimes he's actually a member of the Avengers. So good for him to be a good guy here. I'm really glad that panned out, even though it was pretty obvious early on that he was being the red herring. Kate has a showdown with her mum where her mum tries to justify what she did in terms of, the typical, I was doing it to protect you. And one thing she says is, I know what it's like to live with nothing and you can't handle it. Basically saying to Kate that, look, you've been raised in this life of privilege and you couldn't handle being poor like I used to be. So I did this for you so you didn't have to do that. And Kate is obviously quite offended by that. Now, this is an area which I wish they'd delved into a bit more, because we got a little hint of it early on. Another thing her mum said to her about, you've never, something, I can't remember what the exact line was, but it's something like, you've never had to take responsibility and you've never been put, something like that. I can't remember what it was, but she's never had to deal with that. And I was kind of hoping they would deal a little bit more about Kate's privilege of her rich background in this show. They didn't. Maybe they will deal with it in a sequel series, possibly. But it's nice that they did at least check in with it a little bit here, that they did reference it. And Kate stands up and is like, you don't know me. You clearly don't know me, because that's not important to me, and that's not the type of person I am. So I'm glad that we got a little check back to it, but I think they probably could have done more. Now, in terms of the Kingpin's ending, yeah, he did get blown up, but he did survive that, and we check back in with him walking, sort of staggering down an aisle, but then Mia pulls up and shoots him, and we don't know what happened after that. I'm guessing that might continue in her own series. Possibly. I'm really hoping he survives. Possibly. One theory is maybe that this, whatever injury has had to him, may have to have further enhancements to whatever enhancements he might have already had, which might make him a bit more big and bulkier and more like the comic book version, giving an in-universe reason why he changes shape, maybe because he maybe has to have some surgery and with the bullet, and maybe it changes something in him, in his physiology. I don't know. That's a possibility anyway, that's a theory, but I really hope he survived, because it would be a really shame to have brought him in just for basically one episode and then never to see him again. Talking of which, I really need to get around to watching Daredevil season 3, because I still haven't watched it, so I need to catch up with that. And of course, Kate goes back with Clint for Christmas. I said very early on, maybe the first or second review, that I thought this was going to end one of two ways, this series. It was either going to end very sadly with Clint dying, which would have been a terrible way to end just a couple of days before Christmas, thinking about it, or it would end with him getting back to his family for Christmas and Kate being there around the table, all having a nice Christmas meal. And that's basically what happened. She goes back, meets the family. Lovely. She's part of the family now. Lovely. Also, the mysterious watch, has been returned to his wife. It's got the S.H.I.E.L.D. logo on the back, and that's all we find out. So she definitely worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. at some point. His wife Laura worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. Let me know your theories in the comments below. Who she might be. I know there's the theory about Mockingbird. I'm still iffy about that. We'll see. Yeah, let me know your theories. Who is she? What did she do for S.H.I.E.L.D.? And then, yes, we got it. After credit scene, we finally got more of the musical, more of Rogers the Musical. I was hoping for a montage of different songs, but you know what? I'm fine with what we got. We got the complete musical number that they had recorded for the bit with Clint from that first episode. Because in that first episode, we saw, bits of it kind of cut in and out of that. As we cut back to Clint and cut off early. And we joined it halfway through. Here, we get the entire musical number from start to finish, and it is glorious, and I want to watch this. Come on, Disney, you have a theatrical arm. I've just seen Frozen the Musical on stage in London. I know you can do this. Stage this, please. Please stage this. And yeah, that's Hawkeye. I thought this was probably maybe even the best finale that we've had out of any of the Disney Plus MCU series. While I absolutely adored WandaVision most of the way through, I thought the ending had some weak points. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, similarly, it was good. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't quite up to that level. Loki, I absolutely loved the finale, but it was a much more slower paced one, which is fine, and it worked really well and was needed for that series. But there's something about this one, it has all the character moments, it has the action as well, it was, from beginning to end, just a really solid season finale, tying up loose ends, setting up some stuff for future, some mysteries, what happened to certain characters we don't know, Echo's going off to her own spin-off series. Looking forward to seeing what happens with these characters next. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments below, and yeah, whatever the next MCU series is, I'm sure I'll be here to review it. So, see you then. Goodbye.